In this video, I will help you to understand the connection between IQ and becoming a genius. If you want to know who has a chance to become a genius, please come with me. Let me tell you an example based on a real-life story from the first half of the 20th century in the United States. There were two very good friends. Let's call them William White and Louis Walter Alvarez. They spent their free time together and learned a lot. Maybe many would call them go-getters. They really loved learning. One day, their teacher recommended them to take part in a new experiment. A man called Louis Terman started the research based on the assumption that genius is related to high IQ scores, and that teacher found both of them very talented. They were very excited when they got the tests. When the clock started ticking, they felt that this day will be important in their lives. After getting the result, William felt like in heaven, but Louis Walter Alvarez was really disappointed. He didn't reach the minimum level by Mr. Terman. The researcher chose only children with IQs over 140, then tracked them for several years. After this event, their friendship was not the same anymore. A few years later, William was a biology researcher, but after 10 years of research, he didn't get the breakthroughs what he aimed for. And Louis Walter Alvarez became experimental physicist, inventor. One day in 1968, William read excited the newspaper searching for the Nobel Prize winners. He was shocked when he saw his old friend shaking hands at the Nobel Prize ceremony. The earlier myth of IQ proved to be wrong. Louis Walter Alvarez, William Shockley, Richard Feynman, they are great examples of becoming a genius without having an exceptional high IQ. And what about our fictional character, William White? These children code the termites perform well in academic fields, but produce little in the way of true genius. The conclusion is that intelligence and creativity are only slightly related, and higher education not necessarily leads to be a genius. 21 years later, it was not a huge surprise when László Polgár wrote his genius theory and claimed that it is a huge mistake to make a conclusion about the genius of your child based on IQ. But does this mean that you have to completely forget about general intelligence? Not necessarily. As Malcolm Gladwell summarizes the research of Arthur Jensen in the book of Outliers, you need approximately 115 IQ to get into university. And in general, higher IQ leads to higher education with several other positive side effects, like higher longevity, better health condition, and higher average salary. Research suggests that there's a minimum level of IQ to be a genius in specific areas, but reaching this threshold is not warranting to become a genius. IQ differences in this upper part of the scale have far less personal implications for success. More important is personality and character. However, according to the genetic professor Dr. Zeislendre, the low level of general intelligence is a barrier, so the specific skills can't manifest themselves. And as always, there are a few exceptions also from this rule. There are certain areas where general intelligence plays not a dominant role, like visual arts and music. One of his favorite examples is Pablo Picasso, the Spanish painter genius. Picasso suffered a small brain injury so that the left part of his brain didn't get enough oxygen. He was only able to learn to read when he was 10 with the help of a special visual method educated by a private teacher. One of the sons of Johann Sebastian Bach was unfortunately mentally retarded. However, his father could teach him to play the organ up to par, and he played this instrument on Sundays in the church. So the conclusion is, higher IQ leads to simply higher education, but being a genius needs a minimum level of IQ. After a certain point, not IQ is critical whether you will become simply a well-educated person or a genius. And there are some exceptions like music and visual arts where IQ is not critical precondition for being successful. If you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you want to know how to bring up an intelligent genius child, subscribe to the whole course at bringupgenius.com.